Good morning. Today's program, It's Not Who You Know, It's Who Knows You, was written by Reverend Tina Simson, interfaith minister ordained through One Spirit Interfaith Seminary in Manhattan, and an associate member of the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association. We've had a few changes to our program because Reverend Tina fell ill yesterday with a bad cold and laryngitis, but amazingly, she shared her words, her sermon, and without missing a beat, Dori gracefully stepped up as today's presenter. So thank you, Dori. I'm Mary Moglia-Cannon, today's service leader. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm joined by Andrew Wills on AV, Jenny Mombrea on piano, and Luis Maisonet. I always want to say Maisonet, Luis Maisonet, and Carly Whitney for our kids program. Good morning and welcome. And welcome members, friends, and visitors to U of East Aurora. We are a community which believes our differences make us better. UUEA is a place where all are welcomed, regardless of belief systems, ethnicities, race, gender, sexual orientation, or economic standing. We are in a safe space. Now, please stand in body and spirit and say hi to the person near you. Even if you were already chatting before settling in, just take a moment to say hi to someone else. To our participants on Zoom, we know you're out there. Hi. Before we begin, are there any announcements?
Don't forget, please come next Sunday. We have Super Bowl Sunday, and there will be wonderful, wonderful things to eat. So please plan on staying after the service for lunch.
I'm sad to inform you all that Jim York passed away this week. For those who didn't know Jim was a scientist, a philosopher, a devoted widower, father, and a good friend. And we'll miss him tremendously. He was one of our most avid supporters at the church here. He joined in 2007, and we're all going to miss him.
There is a copy of the email that went out. If anybody wants to send a card to his family, there's 6 or 7 copies there. You can just grab it, and his daughter's address is there. And for anyone on Zoom who didn't hear, Sue Maram said next week is Super Bowl Sunday, Super Sunday. So if you are so you should come to church, not be on Zoom. And if you do come and you're bringing soup, the Fund Committee also asks to please bring it in a crock pot. Our next announcement is just a reminder that Craft and Game Night is on the second Thursday of each month. So next week, February 9th is from 7 to 9. And then Luis may have an announcement about March. Hi, I was looking for you in the back, so.
Hi, everyone. So March 9th, we will be creating generational quotes. So everyone's going to get like a square piece, and then they're going to decorate it. Anything that symbolizes family or who you are as you are. And then we're going to sew them all together and make one generational quote together. I mean, we're going to be a community family. Really. That's it. I was looking at it.
So come on March 9th, too. For Black History Month, the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor is sponsoring a number of events on Tuesdays this month from 6 to 7 at the Meriwether Library, and on Fridays at the Nash Lofts are Black History Through Art. There's a flyer there from Michigan Street. They asked us to pass it along. The Starting Points class is filling up. We have 3 spots left. This is a class about Unitarian Universalism, just learning what it is, and Christina Church will be leading that. So if you're interested and you're not signed up, you can text me or see me after service. And then the final announcement is that Tuesday, starting April 18th, we have an organization, Soccer Shots, who approached UUEA to use our lawn. So right here in UUEA back lawn, there are 2 soccer programs for children 5 and under. If you're interested, their flyer is in the back. I begin this service by acknowledging that our nation was largely built on the ancestral land of Native nations and the labor of enslaved peoples. May we persevere to achieve a clear understanding of our shared past and utilize these lessons learned for good and for progress. Please join me in saying the chalice lighting words that are printed on the order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We, speaking of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
Our opening words today come from James Baldwin, African-American writer whose work addresses fundamental personal questions and dilemmas. Most recently, his fiction has been brought to film in movies such as If Beale Street Could Talk, which won an Academy Award. He writes this about love, our monthly worship theme for February. Love takes off the masks that we fear we cannot live without and know we cannot live within. I use the word love here not merely in the personal sense, but as a state of being or a state of grace, not in the infantile American sense of being made happy, but in the tough and universal sense of quest and daring and growth. Welcome to our celebration of life. It's so good to be together. We're going to have our songs up on the screen today with the lyrics. If you feel moved, you can stand and sing. The first one is 188?
188.
In your hymnal.
We are reminded that UUEA cannot do anything without members and friends showing up and supporting each other. So sincere thanks to those who participate in our events, volunteer their time, share their talents, or who can be generous financially. If you are inclined to give after the service, there's a plate on the bookshelf to give on your way out, or you may do so online at uuea.org. Jenny's going to play the offertory hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Today's reading was taken from the Velveteen Rabbit. Real isn't how you are made, said the Skin Horse. It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. Does it hurt? Asked the rabbit. Sometimes, said the Skin Horse, for he was always truthful. When you are real, you don't mind being hurt. Does it happen all at once, like being wound up, or bit by bit? It doesn't happen all at once, said the Skin Horse. You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't happen often to people who break easily or have sharp edges or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off, and your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand. And today's Storytime video is Love by Matt de la Peña and Lauren Long. And after the story, then Luis and Carly will take the children upstairs for anyone who wants to join them and have some fun.
Love, a picture book written by Matt de la Peña and illustrated by Lauren Long. In the beginning, there is light, and two wide-eyed figures standing near the foot of your bed, and the sound of their voices is love. A cab driver plays love softly on his radio while you bounce in back with the bumps of the city, and everything smells new, and it smells like life. Love, too, is the smell of crashing waves, and the train whistling blindly in the distance, and each night the sky above your trailer turns the color of love. In a crowded concrete park, you toddle toward summer sprinklers, while older kids skip rope and run up the slide, and soon you are running among them, and the echo of your laughter is love. On the night the fire alarm blares, you're pulled from sleep and whisked into the street, where a quiet old lady is pointing to the sky. Stars shine long after they've flamed out, she tells you. And the shine they shine with is love. You wake with a start in the arms of a loved one who bends to your ear and whispers, "It's okay, it's okay, it's love." And in time you learn to recognize a love overlooked. A love that wakes at dawn and rides to work on the bus. A slice of burnt toast that tastes like love. And it's love in each deep crease of your grandfather's face as he lowers himself onto an overturned bucket to fish. And it's love in the rustling leaves of gnarled trees lined behind the flower fields. And it's love in the made-up stories your uncles tell in the backyard between wild horseshoe throws. And the man in rags outside the subway station plays love notes that lift into the sky like tiny beacons of light. And the face staring back in the bathroom mirror, this too is love. So when the time comes for you to set off on your own, heavy winds will sweep past your building and great gray clouds will congregate above. Your loved ones will stand there like puddles beneath their umbrellas, holding you tight and kissing you and wishing you luck. But it won't be luck you leave with, because you'll have love. You'll have love, love, love.
As Mary said, these are Reverend Tina Simpson's words. If you want to close your eyes and picture her up here, I won't be offended. We begin the month of February exploring the worship theme of love. I know it is a cluttered concept, sometimes considered trite as the Valentine's Day sales events come into our view. Love seems to mean roses and chocolate and cards. And yet, it is a concept that is at the core of our Unitarian Universalist religion. Actually, not just our religion, but all religions. The concept of love your neighbor as yourself exists in some form in all religions on this earth. Love your neighbor, that's as simple as it could be and seems the hardest of lessons. Reaching out to others, offering love and support is only part of the equation. You see, I think we all know that love is a two-way street. When we reach out to include others in our life or in our circle of friends or in our church community, we must be willingly open ourselves. To be fully in kinship with another is a little bit like unzipping the chamber of our heart and letting others see what's inside there. It's being willing to expose who we are to others, not who we want to be or who we hope to be, but who we are. Because in that place of authentic sharing of our whole selves, true love is possible, love that is nourishing to the soul. Several years ago, a dear friend of mine asked if she could come over for coffee. My friend and her partner had been considering becoming parents, and I was pretty sure that's what the visit was all about. Now, this was a long time before marriage equality, and the process for becoming parents for a lesbian couple was challenging and protracted. It was a big step. I also knew that while my friend and her partner had been together more than 6 years, there were significant struggles in their relationship. I made a pot of coffee and waited. When my friend arrived, she was carrying a tattered notebook. After our hugs and hellos, but before she said anything about the reason for her visit, she placed the notebook gently on the table between us. "It's Catherine's," she said. "It's her journal, the one she takes with her wherever she goes. It fell out of her bag this morning when I dropped her off at work." She touched it tenderly. "I want to read it," she said. "I saw her drop it on the seat, and I didn't tell her it was there." After a little more conversation, it became clear that my friend was asking for my permission to read her partner's journal, something that was not mine to give, so I simply listened. "There are so many parts of her that she keeps from me," my friend said. "I feel as if she has secrets about who she is or who she was. I feel as if she's not all in." It's as if she wears masks to keep me from knowing her real self. And maybe she dropped it on purpose. Maybe she wants me to read this before we move forward with having a family. Maybe this is easier for her than a face-to-face conversation. Well, here's where I want to stop the story for a bit, because I think this is so very common. We wear masks in this world, all of us do to some degree. And I believe they're most often useful. They help us make sense of a complicated world. We wear our professional mask, the one that identifies our role and purpose in society. We wear our political mask that puts forward our values and the focus of our character. We wear our family mask that places us in context to our closest relatives and help us fulfill roles that are necessary for the evolution of society. We're spouses, siblings, mothers and fathers, grandparents. We are engineers and teachers. In ancient times, masks were created to ward off evil spirits, and I think we may still do that today. Behind the masks of our ancestors was a fear. The mask made it possible for our ancestors to face down that which they were afraid of. I'm not really sure, though, that it worked to ward off sickness of the saber-toothed tiger or the dark cold of winter. Now, the downside of masks is that they often put barriers between our true self and others. A mask we create that portrays us as someone who's always right, who keeps all the balls in the air all the time, who has all the correct answers, who never gets riled, who is the perfect partner, worker, friend. These masks offer a false sense of who we are to ourselves and others. And frankly, I don't believe that they're that effective. I think we create our masks early in life, perhaps in response to challenges or even traumas. They are the edited and decorated version we prefer to show the world. Sort of like a Facebook profile, the ultimate mask where we show off the best parts of ourselves with a beautiful background. What these masks shield are those parts of us that, for whatever reason, we don't like or accept, or that others need us to hide to make them feel more comfortable. And perhaps they also protect us from our fears that, while difficult to face, may not hold such intractable power when we address them head on. The trouble is, we become attached to our masks, and it might not be possible to remove them without also pulling away a bit of skin. But like a Band-Aid that's tattered and no longer covering the wound, it may be worth it to give it a yank. Identifying our facades is like peeling an onion, pulling away layers of ourselves that come between us and our authentic self, the self that truly allows others to know us, to love us. We become real, as our reading today from the Velveteen Rabbit said. We may be worn and tattered, but we are real when the facade comes down. I think true love requires this difficult step. Now, I suspect you're all wondering about the next chapter of my story about my friend and her partner's journal. After a couple of cups of coffee, some more conversation, some laughter, and some tears, my friend gently touched the journal and said this: "If only Catherine would open herself to me. If only she would peel away the masks. If only she would share her real self, whatever she's holding back, I would hold it so tenderly as if I were holding her soul." Now that's a powerful image, isn't it? I think it's clear to see the love and respect and tenderness with which one person could hold another's whole self, real self, her soul. This, I think, is how we let others know us, how we become soulmates or soul friends. Soul. That's a powerful word for Unitarian Universalists, a word often filled with confusion and conflict. We're uncertain that we have one. We're not sure where we got it or really what to do with it. We hate the word, so dismiss it before really trying to understand. And I think that's worth a bit of discussion before we continue, because we could debate its existence or its usefulness. And in that debate, we could miss an opportunity to know our own heart, our soul, our spirit, our authentic self, the part of us that knows exactly what is needed and to claim it for our own. In her poem, Maybe, the poet Mary Oliver says, "Nobody knows what the soul is. It comes and goes like the wind over water." Parker Palmer in The Hidden Wholeness tells us that even if we cannot know what the soul is, we can name the functions of the soul just as we can name the functions of the wind. The soul wants to keep us rooted in the ground of our own being, resisting the tendency of the intellect and the ego to uproot us from who we are. The soul wants to keep us connected to the community in which we find life, for it understands that relationships are necessary if we are to thrive. The soul wants to tell us the truth about ourselves and our world, whether that truth is easy or hard to hear. The soul wants to give us life and wants us to pass that gift along to become life givers in a world that deals too much with death. Now, imagine a relationship where the care and nurturance of each other's soul supersedes all other purposes, a soul friendship, if you will. Thomas More, leading scholar in the fields of spirituality, mythology, and archetypal psychology, says, "A soul friend could offer containment by receiving another's feelings and thoughts without strong need for interpretation or commentary. Sometimes we ask friends to offer their opinions and judgment," he says, "but even then, we expect a high degree of acceptance and recognition of who we are. In friendship, we want to be received and to receive." Such wise words. In a friendship of the soul, there may be more being than doing. This kind of a relationship doesn't call for a great deal of activity, but it does require loyalty, understanding, and presence. And it requires each of us to come forward openly and honestly with our most authentic selves, our real selves. It requires us to let others know who we are. And let me be clear, it doesn't require us to have it all figured out or to have all of our masks removed. This is the relationship where that work can be done in the presence of another. After all, what the soul wants most is attachment to others. It wants love. Soul friendship allows us or requires us to gradually peel away our masks and unzip the chamber of our heart and trust there is another to hold us gently with our growth and nurturance as their highest aspiration. With this kind of love, we can live into our fullest potential. I believe we exist within levels of love. We have acquaintances, family, friends, close friends, soul friends, and soul communities. A soul community has a collective interest in the care and nurturance of its individual members. It brings into light the individual need for connection and companionship and the value of community. At its best, the UUEA is a soul community where the highest priority is creating a safe container where we can all tenderly care for one another and sincerely promote our mutual growth, where friendship is our highest priority. And this community is also a brave space where together we can address the ills of society that affront our values and work collectively to make a difference. When we consciously place the well-being of one another at the center of our conversations and concerns, values shift considerably. We embody respect, civility, and manners, an old-fashioned term, I know. We become more open to listening, more open to differences. We no longer need to influence or coerce or convince or change another person. We allow their truth to inform our opinion and together create the character of our community. Now, I suspect you all want to know the end of my story. Remember my friend and her partner in the journal? Did she read it after all? And the answer is no. She picked it up and walked home. She put it on the kitchen table, so when her partner came home, it was the first thing she saw, and then they talked about masks and about love and about being real and about caring for each other's souls. My friend offered her partner an opportunity to walk forward in life together, and she told her this: if only we can peel away the masks, if only we would share whatever is holding us back, I would hold you so tenderly as if I were holding your soul. May it be so, and amen. We have our closing video, number 95.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
Our closing words today. May we work together to authentically offer ourselves to one another in a true community of love and acceptance. Here ends our worship. You can join with me on the words on your order of service to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now Jenny will play our postlude, Beautiful by Carole King.